welcome back. It's 70s Daydreams, and we have one more music-related one for this season. This one is from the cult show Marc, and it stars Marc Bolan from the band T-Rex. T-Rex is one of my favorite bands. They were one of the biggest influences on my music, and I was really excited to include this. Were you familiar with T-Rex?
So I definitely know the songs after I looked them up, but I had heard the name before, but I didn't know to connect them, like the Bang a Gong, that song I definitely know. And then the Children of Revolution, I know that one too.
Yes, love that one. So Marc Bolan was the sort of the leader of T-Rex. He was the singer, songwriter, guitarist for the band, and there were other people in the band, but he was sort of the main person responsible for a lot of the work. And he had a short-lived TV show, like a sort of like a little variety music showcase. The year he died, actually, there were only 5 or 6 episodes. They are uploaded to YouTube. It's a pretty fun show. It's pretty bare bones. I don't think there's an actual audience, as you'll see in a second, as we'll talk about. He does a few performances, and he introduces other acts. Some are pretty large names that you might know, but a lot of them are pretty obscure, sort of smaller acts that kind of never really got that big, or some of them were acts that were big in the 70s but didn't really have staying power outside of that. But regardless, I think it's a wonderful time capsule of a very specific era of like the late 70s, and it's like when punk and was happening. It was really in the mainstream, and then disco was also very big, and soul music and funk, and it's just a great time capsule.
Time capsule is such a good word. I just want to say really quick, because like also there are like background dancers that happen like with a lot of the songs, and they have these like choreographed dances, and they all wear like coordinated outfits too, and like the outfits are so like such a time capsule too. I'm really glad you said that.
There's a bunch of dance troupes that were like doing sort of really interesting kind of like choreographed things to pop music in that era, so it's really cool. Quick aside, the name of this dance troupe is Heartthrob. And other famous dance troupes of the era were Pan's People, who performed on Top of the Pops. So I'm sure you all are wondering, well, why are we covering this if it seems like it's, like a live action thing? Well, the intro is animated, and because there's no audience in between the acts, there is an animated audience that has like clapping and everything, and it's very, very brief, but it is kind of like a clever way to sort of, I'm not sure what the budget of this thing is, but it seems like it was probably easier to just pay someone to animate an audience and have that be sort of like a cute thing instead of actually filming it in front of one. Doesn't seem like there was one. So let's start with the intro.
Yeah, and I would almost call the intro like a music visualizer. Like, is that how you would describe it too? Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It's like sort of like bright neon, like columns that materialize and form into a jukebox, I think.
Oh, is that what it is at the end? Wasn't able to like understand what it was. Like, I know it was a logo, but like I didn't quite get what the...
I think it's a jukebox because the way it's like framed, it looks like the name of the show is at the top, like where the screen would be. And I don't know, just kind of look like the shape of that, which would make sense because it is a music showcase. There's like these scaly looking parts on the bottom half of the logo, and then it's all captured in these like rectangular beams. And then there's like these like fun slow flashing stars
Yeah, I really like those stars too, and how they kind of like changed into like dots that would go out and in, and yeah, the blinking was really good
Yeah.
along with the actual animation.
It was like slow. It wasn't like fast
Right.
blinking. It was just kind of like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else about this intro that intrigued you?
I think the colors were really great. I mean, another time capsule thing, like you said. But yeah, like definitely the stars. And I liked the logo too, although I couldn't understand what it was at the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, jukebox definitely makes sense now.
I guess just another thing with the jukebox is for those of you not familiar with T-Rex, he was spearheaded the glam rock movement in the UK, and he was pretty much like the progenitor of it. And what he did was he was drawing from an earlier period in music history. So a lot of what he was doing was going backwards and taking a lot of like early rock and roll, like Chuck Berry and Little Richard and a lot of that stuff, and bringing that into the conversation and putting his own kind of like psychedelic twist on it. So he was doing this kind of like nostalgic thing, but bringing it forward in a new context. And that kind of, a lot of like the glam thing was sort of making music that was a bit more fun and a little faster tempo and like just kind of fun rock and roll. Yeah, big fan. Also, another little factoid, I believe it's the last episode of this show. David Bowie is a guest and they play a song together, him and Mark. And they were sort of kind of like frenemies at the time because David Bowie was also king or queen glam. Uh, so they both were sort of had a little bit of a chart topping race. And it seems like David kind of was able to transcend the movement and he ended up, because he likes to switch around genres a lot, and he ended up doing a lot of different things. Though Mark was also very inventive and he also was changing a lot of genres later in his career, which people don't realize, and he was incorporating different influences. But yeah, that's a fun little factoid, and you can actually see it in the last episode. They're like both on stage. Mark's accidentally steps off the stage and kind of like stumbles off, and then he starts laughing at himself. So it's like a funny, nice little memory of Mark before he died.
Yeah, he died very young too,
Yes.
29. He was just shy of turning 30
Yeah.
when he was killed in a car crash. So
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the audience animation?
yeah, so the audience animation comes up at least two times that I saw, around the 5 minute and 30 mark and then around the 1949 mark. And it's just like people clapping and there's like the audience like reaction sounds and it kind of pans across what would be the seats and has just like little fun characters.
Really quick, this is for episode 1,
Yeah,
if you're
episode
looking for the
one. Yeah, yeah.
timestamps.
So I'll say like the one that really stood out to me is at the end of the 1949 timestamp. There was this man that they end on with like these like great lines on his face.
Yes.
So he really stood out for me. Was there anybody that stood out for you in the audience?
There's this one kind of like long-haired mustachioed guy with he's like a black star on a white t-shirt. This is also just sort of free associating, but it's also one of the last David Bowie albums, I believe, was called Black Stars. You know, it's just a coincidence, but it's just kind of interesting to talk about. And then he's sitting directly next to this redhead, and you know, I love redheads. I think redheads are so cool, and like I dye my hair red. And she's wearing this like mustardy yellow sleeveless shirt, and her like eyelashes are really big, and her hair's kind of like tousled. So I think she's probably my favorite. She's very glamorous.
Yeah, and then the guy next to her that he has like those like beatnik type glasses on too.
Oh yes, yes. Yeah, it's just a very brief segment, but it has so much character, which is why it stands out to me. It kind of looks like it could be a John Wilson animation. I wasn't able to find out.
I'm not sure either.
Oh, and then there, I'm looking at the picture now. There's this one guy in the back. He almost looks like John Lennon, kind of, because he has like this kind of like walrus looking mustache and like maybe some type of like necktie. It's hard to tell. The drawings are just very, I don't know. I don't want to say sketchy, but
Hmm.
they just have that look of I don't know, like
Hmm.
that look of that era.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I thought it was really a unique choice to do the animation as like a audience clapping as well, because they could have just put the sounds in there and, I don't know, just left it that way, but they wanted to add like a little extra something to it, which was neat.
Yeah. Really happy to talk about this. And, for those who know me, I am a huge fan of glam rock and T-Rex. So I was so excited to finally get to talk about these short segments. This concludes the season where we've talked about a bunch of music animations, specifically kind of like glam type things. And yeah, this is season 4, I believe.
Yeah, this last one was like 5 episodes of music, I think. So that would
Yeah.
be right. But yeah, we're 30 now, so
Yeah. Really, thank you for being with us this whole time. And, we're having a blast. And it's, once again, I can't, not to get too sentimental, but, being able to be a part of the conversation and sharing. I just love to share things with people and be a part of a community because I think there's all this stuff that people create and it's meant to be appreciated. And thanks for doing this with me, Alder.
oh, thanks for having me here. It's really a joy, and I really appreciate that we forever have record of like us just hanging out and talking about stuff maybe we'd already be talking about. So
Well, we hope you all have a nice spring.
yeah, thanks for being here.
All right, see ya.
Bye.